here along with Camilla Green, who's on the phone as well. Say hello.
Hello.
Hi.
So this is our second year of Wine and Webinars, and this is our first one of the year. So we're very excited to get this started. And good news is Wine and Webinars was already all set up for Zoom. So we're used to this. We're good at this. We missed the in-person component for some of us, but this is going to be just great. So excited to be here. Want to make sure for those of you who didn't participate last year, learning journals, did everyone find that in the email from Wendy? I think in their confirmation email, they got a learning journal. Good?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I recommend trying that out, following along, taking some notes. It'll help really enhance your learning experience. So I hope you'll enjoy that. And we have a lovely Spotify playlist that you can listen to as well. Okay, so let me introduce our speaker for the day. Needs no introduction, but I do have a bio.
Please don't read my bio. Please don't.
It's 17 pages long.
I'm begging you, don't read my bio.
Wendy told me to. She's not here. We won't tell. Okay, well then I won't read your bio, but introduce yourself because there might be some people
I'm
that
happy to introduce
would like to
myself.
know a little more about you, and then feel free to take over. We're so excited you're here. Thank you so much, and such a busy time for taking time to join us today.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. For those of you I haven't met, I have to pronounce my name as Wendy Wood. Otherwise, I'll be kicked out of Georgia officially. My name is Lowell Aplebaum, only in Georgia, evidently. I am a GSAE. I'm a certified professional facilitator. And although I may live in Maryland, it does feel like Georgia is one of my home communities. I've been with you all for many, many years. And what I will say is that the premise of this webinar on the future of associations, which is what we talked about a few weeks, months ago. Yeah, I'm not, a few days ago, I was like, Wendy, is this really what we're doing on this? She's like, maybe that's not exactly where everyone's mind's at. And so I would like to just go around and have everyone say hi so I know who you're with. You can say what beverage you're drinking, if you are drinking one, as means of introduction. And then Wendy sent out at my request just a quick, like, what's on your mind? And there was like one or two things that I have some tabs I'll share and show. But what I'll offer is this. I was inside associations for about 12 years. I did everything from membership to global business development to online learning and learning strategy and content strategy to volunteer relations and strategic planning. I was a COO, so I did finance and HR and facilities. And I have not run a journal. I have not planned an annual meeting, but I've organized many meetings and been on it. Outside of that, I've done just about every job. So I have a good, and I'm the past chair of the GSAE Commission. So I'm intimately familiar with all the domains of learning and knowledge within the association sphere. And so where you want to bring that to conversation, I'm happy to lead. I also, I own my own business that I facilitate strategy and visioning for organizations, governance and leadership. Needless to say, here, I'll share this with you. Close that. Just as an example, this is today and my next few days. It's been about anywhere from 11 to 14 Zoom meetings a day. So needless to say, I've spoken to more than a few organizations. And so what I want to try to focus on this webinar is I'm going to share with you a few things. First are, I've written about 6 or 7 articles about the current moment in terms of what I'm hearing from lots of associations. So I want to touch on just themes from those. If you want to read them, you can, but if not, I think there are themes that speak to the questions you've asked. You asked, are there good examples of what organizations are doing in response to this? I have a few tabs that I've opened up that we'll look at quickly together as just some examples of what's happening out there. I'm leading a webinar tomorrow afternoon that are practical examples of organizations that have pivoted the value they're producing for members in a time of COVID and have already sort of started to receive response. about the value members perceive of the organization, right? And I've anecdotally heard from a number of these organizations that not only have they gotten more members, but they've actually gotten those that left as members coming back saying, oh, right, this is why we have an association. And so not that this is a moment to in any way like capitalize on the moment, but if there's a reason to have an association, this is the reason. And I would say this is a theme for our conversation. If in this moment you can't find the shining light your organization is for your membership, that at a time of crisis, you're a beacon to help them see how they're stronger together, what they need to get through it, how you're providing the right resources, insight, data, information, and paths, that anytime after this you say, we are the voice of the field, it's going to ring, it's going to echo a little hollow, right? Like this is a moment for organizations to shine as a place of unity for a profession or a field. And so hopefully we'll have a few examples of that I could share. And if you want to hear more of those, there's another webinar tomorrow afternoon where I've assembled 15 executives that are each going to have 5 minutes to do like, here's what I've done, here's what my members are saying. So like, if you're interested in that, I can share the link to that. That's free as well. I'm going to share those things, and then I'll see what you guys want to talk about. And I've spoken with lots and lots and lots of organizations. I'll see what else I can share. Is that okay that I didn't prepare slides and do a presentation at this moment? I hope. I know. Felt like a bad idea, so I didn't do it. So last thing I'll say, well, you can't see them, they're far behind. Lewis is almost 9, twins are 7, Juniper and Mabel. I'm in isolation until Sunday for them because I was in Chicago a week ago. And so we are doing a 6-part distance escape room where we're solving puzzles for a treasure every day along the way. And my beer is, this is for the G's Hazy Double IPA. I guess I'll ask Amy, do we usually go around and have everyone say who they are and what they're drinking, or that's going to take too much time, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, I think we can do it real quick. Just say, I mean, I'll start kind of, you can say anything else, but just say, I'm Amy Kane. I'm the Director of Continuing Medical Education at the American College of Rheumatology, and I'm drinking my favorite rosé.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah. Camilla, go next.
I can start calling names.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yes.
I'm Camilla Green. I also work for the American College of Rheumatology. I'm the Senior Director of our annual meeting educational content. I currently have a bun in the oven, so I am drinking water.
Excellent. Delicious beverage. Next on my family, well, I guess, what is this, the Brady Bunch? My little go around. Julia, you're next up.
I am Julia Boyd, Director of Certification for Professional Photographers of America, and I am drinking a light Pinot Noir.
Delicious.
Thank God it's 5.
Somewhere. Mary, you're next.
Hi, Mary Wheatley. I'm the Executive Director of the Rheumatology Research Foundation, and I'm drinking a Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay. Damien?
I'm Damian Cavanaugh, Executive Director of a group called MISBO. And right now I'm actually on water. I've got later this evening, I'm leading a board retreat for an organization. So I'm going to stick to water until later on.
Excellent. Thank you. Michael? Michael, you're on mute.
Yeah, went crazy for a second. Hey everybody, I'm Michael. I am drinking rosé out of a dad mug, and I'm the Director of Certification and Education at Professional Pricing Society.
Thank you. Teresa?
Hi, Teresa Tatum. I'm Director of Education at the Georgia Pharmacy Association, as well as a Foundation Director. And I'm drinking, it's a red Spanish wine because my favorite Chianti from Italy was not available. So I'm
so sad. Austin? There we go.
Hi everybody, I am chilling to the max on my back porch, also imbibing some Pinot Noir. And congratulations, I think it was Camilla on the bun in the oven. That's great. I work at Map Dynamics. I'm the community manager.
Perfect. Thanks, Austin. Lee?
Hey everybody, I'm Lee Beakley. I'm I'm the Vice President of Membership Services for the Georgia Hospital Association, and my guilty pleasure for today is finishing up my Diet Dr. Pepper, which is truly a rarity for me, and I'm loving every minute of it, with palmetto cheese. I mean, can we just say dinner of champions right here?
Absolutely. Delicious. Reagan?
Hi, everybody. Reagan Kahn. I'm the Executive Director of the Oracle Applications and Technology Users Group, and I am delighted to say I have no bun in the oven, but I'm drinking water anyway.
It's allowed. It's allowed. Julie?
Hey guys, I'm Julie Anderson. I'm also on staff at the ACR. I oversee governance. And I've been waiting for this drink since, I don't know, about, what time was that call this morning? 10 a.m. Drinking a little bit of red blend in my Georgia Julie glass because I finished my MBA right before quarantine. So
yay!
Y'all can celebrate me here.
Congratulations.
Well done and well timed.
Thank you.
All right, Tip.
Hello, I'm Tip Tucker Kendall. I'm the Director of Member Services at the International Society of Arboriculture. And I have Gentleman Jack and Coke Zero. And in my spare time, I teach ancient Mesopotamia to an 8-year-old while working. So that's my life right now.
That is perfect. I've been making a post every morning on Facebook, a parent post every weekday. My parent post this morning were museums you can tour. And a number of them, I believe, have Mesopotamian era exhibits if you wanted to introduce the 8-year-old to them.
We may have to do that. We're trying to figure out how to mix it up.
There we go.
Week 2 is getting harder.
Yes. Lori Kay, Spear.
Hey friends, sorry I'm jumping on late. I just had another Zoom call with 100 members on it, so I'm happy to be here with you all. It's much more fun here.
Are you drinking anything with us today?
Well,
or no?
Unfortunately, I'm not yet because I literally hopped off that one and on this one. However, I will show you that I have this very special water bottle. It's Bluetooth, and it has an app, and it tracks how much water I drink. And Reagan is actually the person who showed it to me because she has one, and I'm drinking a gallon of water a day, and it makes me very happy. See, yay, yes. So I'm only drinking water right now, but I will be drinking something else later. Thank you for asking.
That is a good, healthy tip. You have to get one of those. Kenji, it says connecting the audio. Are you there? No. Is there anyone else on that we did not call?
Hello, this is Kenjai.
Kenjai.
I apologize. I was on mute, yeah. For some reason, I was unable to connect to Zoom, so I just called in. But this is Kenjai Davis, a.k.a. Kenjai, the AMS guy, Association Management System Guru, and founder and principal consultant at the AMS guy. And today I am drinking a nice, healthy, giant bottle of Wawa.
Excellent. Well, no matter your beverage, welcome. And what I was planning to do, let's start, I've been speaking to a lot of organizations, and so a lot of your questions are, where are people trying to both be able to pivot, keep things running, and we look into the future all at once? And so I'm going to, just because this is what was top of mind for me, there's sort of 6 themes I'm going to give you in 2-minute stints. And if you like any of them, you can dive in deeper. But let's do it like this, since this is where my brain has been at. All right, theme 1. Theme 1 is that everyone is talking about virtual meetings. Everyone is talking about like virtual learning, right? What they are not yet talking as much about the need to also focus on structuring proper virtual governance and virtual strategy. At some point, you will have to have a board meeting. If it's still during this time and you've never had a virtual board meeting before, then frankly, you need to think about that before you do it. And so how are you structuring any sort of strategic conversation, right? So I just did a strategic planning for about, that's why I'm on isolation from the kids, about a week and a half ago for a national organization. And so within here, there's some tips for it, but what I would say is this, is that if you're going to be doing any sort of governance work, and you should still be doing strategy work, this is not a time to start thinking about the vision of the future for your organization, nor about where you need to go. There's things that you need to think about. Number one is make sure that there's some familiarity with the platform you're going to use amongst all participants before they sign on. You have an hour-long meeting, the first 10 minutes being like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? It's horrible. But more so than that, you need to think about how you're going to staff it properly, right? It takes more finesse in terms of roles and responsibilities. And so one is that at a minimum, if you're going to do any sort of virtual governance or strategy work, there should be a facilitator, whether it's external or internal, but someone whose responsibility it is to track who has spoken, who wasn't, call on the ones who haven't, direct questions, and make sure everyone's engaged. Number two is you should have someone who is your tech support person. Doesn't mean they have to be technology, right? But that they're the ones who, if people have problems with technology, the facilitator doesn't have to work with it, worry about it. People are disconnecting. They're the ones who can like help you break out into meeting rooms if you have to. And number three is you should have someone who's a master level listener, that through all the governance and strategy work you do in a virtual format, there's someone who's on the line just to capture the salient points and questions of what's being said. Because a lot of what's going to happen is you're not going to have the big boards to write on or anything. You want someone who's capturing it all. So from a back end, I would at least structure that. As you think about structuring the actual agenda for any sort of governance or strategy work in a virtual format, I would try to make it, first of all, as interactive as possible. Oration without interaction is going to let people start doing their email. And so actually, if you look at every item on the agenda, is there a different board member who can lead each of those items? Every item on the agenda, what actually has to be presented and what could actually be a place of discussion, interaction, conversation, or creation, right? Can you actually have that structured out beforehand? And then some of the things that you'll see in the article is like, how do you, in particular, do things like actually set board members up or leaders up so that you're like, all right, we're going to talk about this topic. Here's your pair, call each other and talk about it, come back in 5 minutes, right? So they can actually have individual conversations. Are there ways that you can actually Zoom has for larger groups, the small breakouts, right? Small group breakouts, so that you're able to not have everyone all together. What is essential for good, of course, governance as well as strategy is that at the beginning, that you start by saying what you're trying to achieve by the end. Whether it is what is our vision of success for the next month, how are we determining what our member needs are from what they're facing, and how are we communicating that? How are we communicating as leaders that by the end, you all knew what you were trying to get to. So I put that on your plate that as you're thinking about these virtual hybrids for learning and virtual hybrids for meetings, that you don't forget about what is our virtual hybrid when it comes to strategy and governance. Board meetings need to be more effective than ever. That's learning point one, put on your list. Learning point two, if you're not doing them yet, digital fireside chats. What I've seen are a lot of informative webinars. I've seen a lot of messages from the president, which I think is great. What I have not seen as much yet, right, are the opportunities to have members have direct conversation with leaders in real open and not scripted ways. I appreciate that, like, we want vetting when it comes to some level of actual interaction, so we have the proper information given, but we also need to have a feeling from our leaders that it's real, it's their voice. And so where are you creating these opportunities for your board as leaders to each like get, I don't know, 5, 10 people to sign up and be in a conversation for a half hour, talk about what they're seeing from leadership and hearing what the members are saying. I was in a open forum meeting the other night with psychoanalysts. 350 of them came, right, on a Zoom, 350. And their premise was, this is great. They'll be able to like tell each other what they're feeling. So 8 people got to say what they thought. None of them got any response. And so they appreciated, right, like the space, but it didn't really meet the purpose. How are you creating micro conversation opportunities with varied leader voices, so that these types of fireside chats, if you will, to share the vision of the organization, to hear the voice of the member, can be personal, can be dialogues, can not just be oration. I will say as I'm sharing these, if you're making snarky remarks about me in the text box, I will not see it at this moment, but I can't wait to see it after. All right, hot topic number 3. A lot of organizations that I work with talk about the next generation wanting to know, like, where are you going to get your workforce from, right? So what I put out to you is an opportunity. You have the K through 12 audience captive at home and parents desperate looking for something to do with them. This is the perfect opportunity for you to think, depending on your industry, depending on your profession, of what sort of interactive module, what sort of interactive offering can we provide on a regular basis to parents to give their kids to do 15, 20 minutes while they're home to develop a seed and a love and knowledge of your industry, right? For those that are artists, right, Mo Willems doing every day at 1 o'clock how to do drawings. But you can't tell me a kid that's drawing with their favorite author in real time every day is not going to form a love of being an artist, right? Smash Boom Best, like, is a podcast for kids and adults that's in debate format. Every day doing this, right, you're going to form a love of debate, and maybe that leads to being a lawyer someday, right? Intro to Potions and Harry Potter themed chemistry, right? How could a kid do that, right? And not all of a sudden say, oh, maybe chemistry is something I want to be involved in. So as you think about the work of your field, as you think about the work of your professionals, and if you're a field or a professional that has a concern with workforce development and workforce transition, how we can get the next generation this is a moment in time when you have an opportunity to have a captive live audience for those that you're never going to go into grade schools or maybe high schools, that parents will transmit this for you if it's fun, if it's engaging, if it's easy. What can you create to help raise the profile of your profession? What do I got next? Go. Yes. Okay, number 4, permission to play digital experimentation. You know all the things you always thought about doing, but you knew your members would want you to do because, you know, it's shaking, rocking the boat because they want the norms and they're used to, like, they're foundational, what they're used to. Guess what? You can do whatever you want right now in an effort to, like, make things better for them. There's a large leeway for failure and for experimentation because of how unstable this moment is in time, particularly in the digital space. People we know are self-isolating at home. If you say our organization is attempting multiple efforts to create digital value, connection, community, learning, information, and we're going to use various platforms, and we're going to pilot them to see which of them work, perhaps in regular times, that would be like an expenditure of effort that, like, wouldn't be prioritized. This is a moment when there's no other priority but to see how you provide value in the digital space. So if you actually, in your senior staff team, sat together for 15, 20 minutes and said, if we had carte blanche to think about how we provide value in the digital space, what would we want to try? What's the experiment we'd want to run? What kind of, like, forget passive webinars where we just sit and listen. What would actually be meaningful learning we want to try to develop, right? Forget just more like PR news blasts. Forget just more like, you know, the copy and the memos we send out that we hope press picks up. If we actually really tried to craft, like, powerful, small narrative stories of meaning, what would that look like this more than a news blast? How do we elevate member profile? What does that look like? I'm not saying that, like, and I think a lot of what you'll see in the space are articles about what organizations are doing, but this is a moment that you actually can experiment with a lot of latitude. And I would recommend really trying to use that moment, because you can both fail with grace at this moment because of the effort and the intent, as well as potentially sow seeds so that when we go back to a world that we can be in the same space again, the seeds that you've planted in terms of what the power of digital is could actually take root, and you could have whole new business lines. Next is that what I've seen working across organizations is that people are going above and beyond to try to get through this together, right? And so in the means of whether you are thinking about the staff, your volunteers, your members, how exactly are you expressing gratitude? What exactly are you doing to demonstrate that the efforts are appreciated? Everyone here is calling from home. How many of you had home offices set up before this? How many of you are trying to share home office space with a partner of some kind that you weren't doing before, right? For some people, like, yay, I finally get to telecommute, which is true, but there's also a burden that comes with that. There are many organizations I've spoken to who weren't set up for this, didn't have the digital resources for their staff. And all of a sudden, staff are not just working from home, they're working mornings, they're working nights, they're working weekends. Volunteers are putting together their resources, are writing, or trying to create knowledge in ways they haven't ever done before. I don't know how long this goes on, but I know if we do not find means to express authentic gratitude to our staff, to our volunteers, to our members, to our corporate partners, then how are you refilling the well of their energy to continue to give? So I put that on your agenda. And the last one I'll say, this is one I wrote today. I really, really like it. Everyone knows Simon Sinek, I hope. And so if not, I'll click it here. He has the 7th most watched TED Talk of all time. It's called How Great Leaders Inspire Action. But it's basically the concept of starting with why, right? And so what he has done is fairly brilliant. You know, I am sure that he has thoughts in this moment about how we should all act. But instead of saying, I'm going to write a new book, what he has done in this moment is say, right, start with why. This book, that TED Talk, 7th watched of all times, like really like, I think 30 million people. He's saying you don't need to read a new book. What we're going to do is we're going to take something that you know, and we're going to try to bring it back and say, what is its application in this moment in time? What I've seen organizations do in rapid response is do one-off learning. It's like, we're going to do this webinar, this webinar, this one, do this one. And none of them are actually connected to one another outside of a theme of COVID. At some point, the whiplash that our members are going to get from sporadic learning is going to not feel good. And so how do you create a learning opportunity that doesn't create a big lift of like reading a whole new resource, but instead can go to something that they know from a leader that they respect, right? And so what he has done is he's going back to the book 6 weeks in a row, every day at 3 p.m. They're going to be discussing a different part of the book, a different part of the resource. He is encouraging people to start to like connect with one another, right? So this isn't learning in isolation. This is supposed to be learning in micro community, which is exactly who we are and what we do. And what he wants is questions each week before that you email directly to him, and it's going to help drive what we did talk about each week, right? So think about that at this moment in time when there's uncertainty, at this moment in time when there's disruption, this moment in time when so much is coming at us, being able to have a place that weekly, so a resource that you've come to know, that you like come to trust, that you can talk about with people, you can send questions into the thought leader you respect, that's going to drive the conversation. By the way, you can't go every week. It's going to be on a publicly accessible forum on YouTube. Now, do I think that's going to sell more books for him? I'm sure it will. But let's be clear, like Start With Why has sold a heck of a lot of good books, a lot of books already. I think this will benefit him from raising profile, but I think that he's able to take what has been a leader in the field of nonprofit organizational and business management, his voice, and to provide it in a way that in this moment will provide consistency and safety in trusting someone that we know as a leader through some information we already know and looking at through a different lens. By learning it together in small groups. And by the way, I don't think the timing is a mistake either, right? Beginning of April through the beginning of May. I don't know how long this is going to go on, but by any means and report, we know that like this is the over-under of at least what we're talking about. Get to this end of this period, maybe they'll do more, right? But you're not committing to a year. You're not even committing to 2 months. It is possible we are home for this amount of time. And so it accounts for that. I think it's a brilliant idea that associations should take in terms of thinking about who is a rock star in your industry, right? Who is someone that has a piece of focus that can lead a similar sort of learning series that isn't about these one-off webinars, open to the public, can benefit everyone, member, non-member alike, can encourage community, have people connect beforehand, submit questions, their voice lead. I think it could be in this moment when we're flipping back and forth a really powerful learning module. We're halfway through our time. I kind of want to stop for a moment. I do have sites to show you in a moment from how other organizations are responding to COVID, but I want to pause there and see if anyone wants to ask questions or talk about. I know I just sort of threw 6 different topics at you, but if any of those resonated, any thoughts, any reflections, I also want a second to drink my beer, so someone else talk. No, really, someone say something.
I can just say, I just appreciate the optimism. I think I haven't heard a lot of that in the past few weeks. And so the theme behind a lot of what you said was finding the good in this opportunity and helping us see a lot of positives. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just add that as someone who was staring down an annual conference that was supposed to be going on right now, 1 month from today, I've kind of been one of those people who's been all consumed with mitigation of its cancellation and figuring out online and postponement and all that stuff. I haven't given thought to any of this and appreciate this very much, because all of these things are very important and almost as timely as the conference issues that I'm dealing with. So thanks for that.
Does anyone else? I mean, I don't think my perspective is all knowing. I mean, besides the reacting to rescheduling, right? Besides the reacting to cancellation, or besides the initial reaction to COVID crisis, is anyone else seeing or doing other things that at this moment are creating unique value for your members and trying to help them through?
Yeah, one thing that we're doing, we also had an annual that was scheduled for a month from today, and we had to cancel it. And most of our sponsors were willing to roll over sponsorship to next year, but one of them wanted to get creative with the dollar spend, and so they had spent about $30,000 for their package. And what we decided to do, we had a meeting right before this, is they're going to record, kind of similar to what Simon's doing. They're going to record over 3 weeks, 1 hour each week, a live version of a course that's going to be brand new about pricing in crisis times. And we're going to invite everyone, member or non-member, to attend the live version for free. We're basically already making the money through the sponsorship. And then we're going to say courtesy of, the sponsor. And then we'll also flip it to an on-demand course in our learning catalog. But by doing that, that does some lead generation for the sponsor. It positions them as someone who cares and is a thought leader right now in this time to our members. It also allows us to promote our certification program, because people don't have to pay for their first course, so they get an idea of what it's like to learn with us. Our members get a benefit, they're getting a free course, but it's also great for us, for people maybe who are members or non-members who haven't even started our certification yet. So we're kind of pivoting that way and planning to do that, starting it in about 3 weeks, maybe 4 at the most, and doing it over April, maybe beginning of May.
I love that, Michael. I think, look, every department at this moment should be saying, what is the opportunity we have at this moment to differentiate what we've always done, because we've always done it that way, to create unique opportunity, right? So fine, you're not going to have a trade show floor. Okay, so what are the opportunities you have to highlight those sponsors that are willing to still step up and be solution providers for this industry? How can you provide them with sponsoring learning opportunities to provide learning? Is there, I was talking, Austin Zahn was talking with Jeremy from MapD the other day. They have a whole thing they're doing about how to run these sort of virtual meet and pair and trade show floors. What is it that, if a sponsor wants greater recognition and you want to demonstrate those that are going to stick by your members, that you can come up with? There's reaction to crisis, and there's the proactive innovation. And there should be room right now. You need to create room for both.
So I'll jump in. One of our members today said something that I actually wrote down about, perfect being the enemy of good, and some of the things that you've showed is, just testing things out and will this work or will this not work? We did send out an email to our membership today from our president that we had recorded, and there was, you know, PowerPoint involved and everything. And I think there was like a couple of errors that, you know, staff caught like at 10 o'clock last night. We were just like, at this point, we're going to have to send it out. But I think that one thing as an association person, we're always wanting everything to be 100% correct. But I think in this time, we're just going to have to really kind of accept that, you know, perfect being the enemy of good and just doing what's best for our members and getting things out in a timely manner.
So I wanted to embrace a different philosophy.
Oh my God, are you saying I'm wrong?
Imperfect is awesome. If imperfect means you're learning,
Yeah.
right? If imperfect is sloppy, that's one thing. But if imperfect means like you're learning, imperfect is because we are all tech. So like someone who's a manager, we're asking them to do director stuff all of a sudden. That's actually a learning opportunity for them, right? You're gonna grow them into that position, and you recognize it as such, right? I think there's some leadership responsibility in that as well. There's an organization I'm working with and doing some governance transformation that we were having regular conversations with a number of staff members in charge of committees. That was like, all right, they have forethought in terms of like where these committees should go in the future. And they're in the midst of COVID crisis, right? And so I think that I did not properly frame that, yes, we need to do this work, but like, let's also think about like where you're living. If it doesn't happen in the right way, like maybe it scared them a little bit. I think like how we frame these things, right? That like we still need to be innovating towards the future. Nothing's gonna be perfect right now. We all just need to be doing our best. And I also think that's where the whole gratitude thing comes in as well.
Yeah, one of the things is we have been kind of mitigating the cancellation of our conference and working really hard to figure out how to bring our exhibitors and sponsors along with us and how to create value for attendees and, you know, hope to retain as much of the revenues as we can. We've just communicated frequently, communicated honestly. We've said we don't know these things yet. Here's what we're figuring out. Here's when we think we'll know. And when we got to that point, we updated them again. And today, as we were going out to our exhibitors and sponsors, we took them plans for our virtual event and update them where we are in scheduling our next in-person event, but also an expanded list of just new opportunities that we're creating on the fly for them to reach our audience in different ways and inviting them to kind of redirect conference dollars in new directions. But instead of just putting that in an email, I recorded a video and talk about imperfect. I mean, they weren't actually looking at my bedroom like you are now. They were looking at the corner of the bedroom. You know, but you know, just acknowledge that. You know, I'm talking to you from home. You're at home. We're all tackling different challenges and we're making things up as we go. And just to kind of be human and real and invite them to stick with you during tough times and let them know that you're with them in the tough times and just kind of be transparent with them about what you're working on and how that's going and what you have to offer them right now.
And I'd like to build off of
Yeah.
that.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, I have 64 components in 33 countries. So we had our bi-monthly call last week, and it was like, I normally have we do 2 calls in a day, and I normally have about maybe 20 or to 30 on the morning call and maybe 5 to 10 on the evening call. And that day, the morning call had almost all of them. And it was looking at a screen of people that just were white as a ghost and going, what in the world has happened? And I realized that there was a huge opportunity for us to build that community and connect. And so we're doing weekly calls with them. That's just, hey, jump on the phone. We just want to look at friendly faces and talk through whatever is going on. And so we did our first one this morning, and they all emailed me, not all of them, but I got a lot of emails afterwards. We're just like, thank you for making it not about you and it's about us. And just to have that connection with other people was huge. And we talked through a lot of the things that they were all experiencing in a vacuum in their own worlds, but could really sort through not just the challenges, but potential opportunities. And And it was also great because it helped me identify the places where we had an opportunity to lead. And I walked away from the call and went, oh, you know, they could really use some help here. And I never thought about that. Or here's a place that, you know, we could really invest some time and money to make this product stronger, not just in this time period, but perhaps going forward. So, you know, out of some of this chaos has been great opportunity to share and build community and also figure out maybe what new directions we should have been looking at all along and we hadn't.
So if it's helpful, do you want me to flip for a second and show you a few associations' website responses? Would that be interesting? This is certainly in no way comprehensive, and I'll also be, I'm a teacher by nature, so I'm just going to be didactic for a moment and say how I got to this. I'm supposed to be doing a webinar tomorrow for member clicks on membership value and engagement. Much like this, it felt false to be like, let's talk about member recruitment, like at this moment. And so I pivoted this weekend and put out just a call on my Facebook page, say, hey, any organizations actually like have done stuff where you've had a different perception of value from your members or non-members because you've been able to pivot in time. And it was overwhelming the number of responses I got of examples. I'm presenting 15 tomorrow. It's also, I think we're up to 1,200 people registered for the webinar, which is crazy sauce. I mean, obviously this is what like associations are thinking about right now, right? And so I don't think there's a perfect formula, certainly, but I'll show you at least some of the examples I got and what I will admit to those examples. I have to pull it up in a second. Well, what I will admit to these examples, there we go, is that I haven't had time to dive deep into them yet. So this is the California Landscape Contractors Association, right? And so landscape contractors, right, work across multiple counties. We know California's had stay in place, right? Landscape contractors, well, are they an essential employees or not? And they actually are, but it's not that they are thought of as such. They're not doctors. They're not like grocery stores, right? And so what I like is that not only do they have a page where they're uploading like what's going on, where I was talking to their executive director, this has been the most used thing by members and non-members alike, right? Is just this sample letter that people have printed out, and they're getting feedback every day from multiple members. They've printed it out and use it, right? It says the executive order, it says where it can be found. And people that otherwise would have gotten fined or in trouble with the law because of this letter are able to still function in their work capacity in ways they have to because of the language the organization is providing, right? For many that work in this field, English is not their first language. And so being able to translate legalese, even the simplest terms, into, hey, I still need to do my job, right? This right here is the tangible value of an organization. I love that. Where should we go next? Let's talk about Michigan potatoes for a second. So Michigan potatoes, right? And so they're speaking to like both their members' hurts, like the supply in the stores, right? To help limit trips to the grocery store, reduce food waste they're talking about. And what I love about them, I think organizations really need to do this, is that right now, they are trying to highlight members that are making a difference. So transforming it so it's not just about the organization, but about members that are making a difference. And I like this one in particular, that the Michigan Grain Distillery is using Michigan potatoes in a new and unique way. They're actually using it within the distillery, and with it, they've changed over the distillery to create hand sanitizer. The potatoes are part of the process, right, to help what's going on. And so this as an example of like how they're actually raising the profile of their members at this important time, and not just of their organization, I think is a really good example. Kappa Delta Pi is the International Honor Society in Education, right? teachers that may be amazing teachers, but have never taught virtually before, right? And all of a sudden it's, okay, 1 week, go home, start teaching them, right? So yes, news and information, and then look all the teaching and classroom resources they've been gathering, right? Vetted resources to help you about how you actually go about this in a way that can let you experiment and try with your students so that you're going to be able to still do this, whether it's assigning learning projects, whether it's actually working with them. And so, and they keep adding to this list of resources, and they are also, I love this, right? That they have found that one of the ways that hopefully they can help their teachers is they've made a deal for a free LMS to distant learners, but for at least right now for restrictions, right? What are the platforms that will help? That will help your members. Right now, I was telling you, I was on that psychoanalyst conversation the other day, right? People go in, psychoanalysis happens in the office, usually on a couch, right? Or in a chair. The organization is trying to negotiate a group discount with Zoom right now so that psychoanalysts can do distance analysis, right? To still provide this mental health necessity for those that are in and out. Like for someone who's in analysis, that all of a sudden you're like, sorry, like, you know, you're stuck at home. So what has been helping you be healthy mentally, you're going to now not have for a week, 2 weeks, a month. That's a really dangerous proposition. How can the organization provide a platform where that doesn't happen? I'm looking at the time, so I don't know how much more of these I'll get to do. Maryland Psychological is interesting. I like how the American Staffing Association has really combined trying to gather in one place the legal pieces going on, right? Staffing agencies need to be concerned with all the FMLA, all the HR things. Distills it, publishes a sample staffing agreement amendment for remote work arrangements, right? They went to their lawyer, like this is what all their staffing ones need right now on the spot, and the organization produced it. There's other ones, we're running out of time, but there's one other I want to show you because it's a really cool one. So this is the American Society for Microbiology. I just redid their governance. Right, I was with them at their board meeting, and then a week later, they are the ones that are now advising the president and the executive Congress on the actual COVID-19. And so they have on their site what's going on, right? They have their president answering questions about COVID-19, like in video, in real form, right? The guidance they're producing, the updates. ASM is providing free access to nearly 50 research articles published over the last year. If your journals are behind closed doors and you have things that can help, you gotta drop the wall on those articles at least, right? Making all of its related publications immediately accessible to the public, to everyone. But there's a lot of stuff on here. I mean, the data they have is impressive, but I'll share with you an email their CEO sent me. He's presenting it for me tomorrow, but I want to point out just a few things that's cool about like the power of associations, right? So they've been in direct line with the White House Task Force, NIH, and FDA. Like they are the ones that are helping advise like what is needed. And because of them, the FDA changed its emergency regulatory process, incorporating the asks from ASM members to ramp up testing. Like association helping with the ramping up of testing, right? This past week, they hosted an international virtual summit with world leaders in coronavirus science to summarize the current actions and chart the research agenda for the future. I promise you that was not on their agenda 2 weeks ago. And yet the power of associations to say who are the global leaders that we need around the table and what do we need them talking about right now? Who do we need to convene, right? And then there's other ones, right? Working with member lab directors to address the shortage of swabs and reagents and testing by connecting them all with corporate console diagnostic companies, right? There's the partnership. The people who produce the swabs, people who produce the reagents, right, are some of their solution providers. They have the relationships to connect the lab directors in need with their solution providers. Anyways, those are some of the responses I'm seeing from organizations, different approaches and different takes. I guess I will, no, we have less than 10 minutes left. What else are you all seeing or doing in response? Anything that you all are doing to create immediate member value in the face of this, that this rings for you, or that seeing this makes you think it's something that you want to do?
I'll just make a quick comment. This is Camilla from the ACR. So one of the things that we did with one of our professional meetings is obviously we canceled in person, but we asked, you know, the participants that were registered for the meeting, we put out a survey asking them how they wanted the meeting to be delivered, right? Whether they wanted the meeting to go virtual or perhaps us just doing an in-person meeting the following year. So that kind of obviously empowering our members and letting them know that they kind of have a stake in kind of the decision of their education delivery.
I love that.
Just making decisions for them.
You know, the School Nutrition Association, I didn't get to pull them, but they actually, there are some groups, especially international in nature, that have been tracking this for a few months, not just for a few weeks. And they sent a letter, a survey, 3-4 question survey out to their entire membership. Like, these are the people who run the cafeterias in all the schools, right? These are the people, by the way, that right now they're in negotiations and finally got FDA to drop regulations, because even if the schools are closed, there are many places around the country where school lunch is the only meal children get a day of any health. And they're like, even if we can't run the school, how can we not feed the children, right? The FDA regulations were preventing them from doing so. So they sent out like a survey of member concern weeks ago. So they were able to go to the FDA as the voice of their field when this all started, already being able to say, we've done the research, here's what's holding us back. Like, if they were able to ask weeks ago, if the schools all closed, what would you need to do? What would prevent you from doing it? And where do you need us to be?
Yeah, something that we decided to do was just to open up our whole education platform. So we're allowing anyone to create a free account and log on to our fairly robust online education. I think we have about 1,200 videos up. So we opened that up last Tuesday. Y'all, we have 33,000 free accounts that have already been made. 5,000 are spam, but still a good number. When you have a 30,000 membership group, and we've seen a lot of international accounts being made, mostly national, but more international than we thought, which we just think is building our international brand as well. But I mean, we're having to kind of like recode some of our website, which we had just updated because we're getting such high traffic on it. And then that's allowing us to also sell more vendor spots on our education. So it's helping our sales team a little bit. And then also just pushing that out on social media. We've gotten members that are just like, this is fantastic. You know, this is why I'm a member. I'm going to be a member for life. And then obviously with us professional photographers, we're ramping up tons of, our first webinar we put out almost immediately was about contracts and cancellations. And was something that our director of education kind of pushed, which we weren't going to do, was that our CEO was on that webinar and did a little, you know, kind of intro to it and just said, we're here, we're constantly updating, you know, we have a web page for it, and you know, anything y'all need, let us know. And I think that went a long way to kind of just ease some of the anxieties, to let them know that we're in it with it. But we've been really pleased with the open up of the education. So
that's awesome, Julia.
That's awesome, and especially thinking of photographers certainly being an industry where they have to be face-to-face to be able to do what they do. I was going to share that GSAE has done something similar because we have such a huge portion of our membership involved in, you know, hospitality industry. And so a lot of our colleagues have been furloughed, unfortunately. And so we're hearing from a lot of them who don't have access to their accounts anymore because their email's been shut off. And so we have put a lot of things that used to be behind the, you know, membership paywall out in front now. And so we're in the process of moving a lot of those things out. And then, you know, a part of our value promise to our membership is to be the place where you can kind of test and experiment. And so our April luncheon was going to be all virtual, and I know Damien's really helping a lot with that. So we're excited to see what that will look like and be able to test that out a lot. And I think there's going to be a lot of participation. I know you guys are seeing a lot of the same things we are in terms of people just really wanting that FaceTime and really checking in on a lot of these virtual things. We had just an optional, staff check-in on Friday, and I think every single staffer, I didn't even know we had that many staff people. It was like 113 people checked in. So that's been encouraging to see as well. So I'm excited about all of those things and encouraged to hear what other people are doing as well.
Well, I think that speaks to the need for people to know that without in person, to both hear ideas happening and to connect person to person. And I want to give a shout out, the webinar I talked about for tomorrow. Julia is one of the people that will be on there presenting for a few minutes. So we look forward to hearing her story there as well. I know we're coming up on time. That doesn't leave much time to ask what we didn't talk about, but any quick question or comment that, I don't know, is this what you were hoping for? Such an odd time. I hope this is what you were hoping for.
Yeah, I know Julie and I were texting back and forth with a lot of ideas for ACR. So I think we were definitely inspired for some things that we could implement quickly. And I know Camilla and Amy as well.
Well, I guess
Great. Thank you.
What I want to say is this, this is a time that I understand is scary. I understand there's uncertainty. I understand there's a lot going on right now that is hard and painful and unknown. And, I think that part of our jobs as associations and as association executives is to, as much as possible, to be able to lead. That means not ignoring that which is a threat, not ignoring that which is troubling and a hardship, but to be the ones that are saying we will continue to not just survive, but thrive in that, and to look at this as a way to be there bigger and better to provide you with whatever we can to help you get through this and to us to get through it together so we emerge stronger than ever. And I think that there's the potential for positive in that. And I hope that that's part of some of the ideas you take away from it.
Sure.
And if not, beverages together with other people should put a smile on some of your faces. Jeez.
Yes.
Time for another glass.
Don't forget to write those ideas down while they're fresh in your learning journal, guys.
Right. I would love to go. I wasn't able to quickly source the LinkedIn for all of your articles, but if others were able to find them, please feel free to share them. But I guess we could also connect with you offline to ask for all those links if I can't find them all.
Yeah, I have found. So what I've been saying is I flew 280,000 miles last year. This is the longest I've been home, and what I have found is that since I've been grounded, my brain has been in overdrive to actually do something. So what I shared with you, those articles, are just what I wrote the past, 6 of the past 7 days.
That's amazing.
So I'm not sure it's amazing. There's something wrong with me, but they're all on my LinkedIn page, so you can at least see them.
I saw the date on those and thought the exact same thing. What's wrong with you? But
there's definitely something wrong with me. There's definitely
Ghostwriting.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
All right.
Well, thank you so much. This was awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Cheers to all of you.
Good to see y'all.
Stay safe.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.